You've probably heard of Okta. They're a huge name in cybersecurity. But the big question for us is it actually a good investment? Well, to figure that out, we're going to do a deep dive. We'll break down their business, look at the really strong case for growth, but also get real about the serious risks that could hold them back.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First up, what does Okta even do? Then we'll follow the money. After that, it's the main event, the bull case versus the bear case. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the investor's bottom line.
All right, first things first. Before we can even think about Okta as an investment, we really have to get a handle on the world it lives in, the super important and frankly complicated business of digital identity. Okta is all about something called Identity and Access Management, or IAM. You know, in today's world where people work from everywhere, the old idea of a secure office building, that's just gone. Security now is all about identity. Proving you are who you say you are to get to the right data, that is the new fortress wall. And here's what's really clever about how Okta approaches this. They've basically split the market in two. You have the main Okta platform, which is for workforce identity. Think of it as getting your employees and partners safely logged into all the company apps. But then they have the Auth0 platform. This is all about customer identity, letting developers build those smooth, secure login experiences for their apps. It's two sides of the same coin, and Okta wants to own both. So managing identity is one thing, but how does that turn into billions of dollars? Well, the answer is a business model that investors absolutely love: subscriptions. And they are doing it at an incredible scale. Just look at this number. In their last fiscal year, Okta brought in over $2.6 billion in revenue. Just to give you some perspective, that puts them right up there with the top cybersecurity companies, which tells you just how vital their services have become. But here's the real engine of the business, and you can see it right here. A whopping 98% of their money comes from recurring subscriptions. For an investor, that predictability is just gold. It means they're not chasing one-time sales, they're building long-term relationships. That little 2%, that's mostly just helping new customers get up and running. Okay, now that we've got the basics down, let's build the bull case. Let's put on our optimist hats and look at the key reasons you might be really excited about Okta's future. This quote from Morningstar really sums up the whole feeling. The heart of the bull case is simple. Okta is the leader in a market that is not only growing but is becoming more and more essential every single day. They are the name people think of for identity. And we're not talking about small fry customers either. Okta has 4,800 clients paying them over $100,000 a year, each. Now, why does that matter so much? Because these big companies are sticky. They're not going to switch their entire identity system on a whim, and they're the ones most likely to buy more stuff down the road. And speaking of buying more stuff, this number might just be the most powerful metric for any subscription company. Okta's dollar-based net retention is 107%. In plain English, that means even if they lose a few customers, the ones that stay are spending so much more that Okta is still growing revenue from their existing base by 7%. That is powerful stuff. And here it is, maybe the biggest piece of news for the bulls. They are finally profitable. After years and years of spending heavily and posting huge losses, Okta just had its first ever full year of positive net income. This could be a huge turning point, signaling that the company is maturing and becoming more disciplined. Okay, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Now we have to flip the coin and look at the bear case. What are the big challenges and the high-stakes risks that could completely derail this growth story? You don't have to dig deep to find the biggest risk. It's right there in Okta's own words from their financial filings. Because they're a top security company, they are a massive, constant target for hackers. And for a company like Okta, a big breach isn't just a technical problem. It could shatter customer trust, which is the very foundation of their entire business. Hey, remember that powerful 107% net retention rate we were just celebrating? Well, context is everything. While it's still good, you can't ignore the trend. It's been falling from 120% just 2 years ago. This tells us it's getting harder to upsell existing customers, probably because companies everywhere are tightening their IT budgets. And that profitability we just mentioned, yeah, let's put that in perspective too. That $28 million profit looks pretty small when you see it came after a $355 million loss and an $815 million loss the year before that. A bear would look at this and say, that's not a trend, that's a blip. Show me you can do it consistently. So to wrap up the bear case, it really boils down to 4 big worries. 1. Massive competition from giants like Microsoft. 2.
The risk that they can't make that huge Auth0 acquisition work as planned. 3. The constant threat of a security breach causing customers to flee. And 4. Just the broader economy making it harder to sell big IT projects.
So, we've heard the good and we've heard the bad. Where does that leave an investor? It's time to put it all together and figure out the bottom line.
When you lay it out side by side like this, you can really see the tension. The bulls are betting on market leadership, great customer metrics, and that recent turn to profit. But the bears push back on every single point, citing fierce competition, slowing growth, a history of massive losses, and that huge critical risk of a security failure.
And this brings us to a pretty sobering take from Morningstar. They give Okta a no-moat rating. That means they don't believe Okta has a lasting competitive advantage to keep rivals at bay long-term. And when you pair that with a very high uncertainty rating, well, they're basically saying the future for this stock could go in a lot of different directions. And that leaves us with the one central question that every investor has to answer for themselves. There is no doubt that Okta is a leader in a market that matters. But in cybersecurity, your reputation is absolutely everything. So, is that leadership strong enough to withstand the constant threat of attack and overcome its own vulnerabilities? That's the billion-dollar question.